Hi guys, this is a video on how to make money with Amazon's KDP. In part 1, I talked about the KDP Amazon website, and I also talked about my royalties. Just to give you an idea where I'm coming from, my royalties are quite small. It's an extra stream of income. It's not my complete income. And just to give you an idea, I started in December 2020. And so about a year and a half of earnings, not a whole lot, but most of my earnings come from public domain books. So that's what I'm going to be talking about primarily in this video. We're going to be exploring Project Gutenberg for public domain books. I'm also going to show you how I format those books in Microsoft Word. So let's get started. This is Project Gutenberg. And when you're looking for books, what I love most often to click on is frequently downloaded. So if you're brand new to this website, I think going for the frequently downloaded is a really good place to start. And you also want to consider when you're looking at these books and deciding on a book, the question is how many books of this title are already on the Amazon website. So you need to consider that. I mean, if you're just going to be another person who publishes Pride and Prejudice, you're gonna get very few downloads unless you can really make yours super unique. So keep that in mind when you're choosing a book, and also think about how you're going to meet Amazon's criteria for public domain books. Is this going to be something that you're going to annotate? Is there going to be illustrations? So think about how you're going to edit this book to meet their criteria. If you're looking for images, just click on one of these books and start to go through the chapters and decide what kind of images would you add, and what are public domain images that are available. So do keep those two elements in mind while you're looking. So there's a lot of books that are frequently downloaded. So that's a good place to start. If you're very used to this website and you're a frequent visitor, you might want to click on, what's new. What haven't you heard about? So there is that. And you can also do book search. You can plug in, key terms. And you could also do browsing options or full text searches. There are just so many options for locating the book that you're looking for. Sometimes I just have maybe an image in mind that I want to use. Like maybe I want to just use a whole bunch of images that are about birds. So you might want to plug in the search term birds, depending on what you have in mind. So I mean, you could start from the book or you can start from the images that you want to use. But for this example, what I'm going to be using is the Flower Princess. And I took a look on the Amazon website. It's not really flooded with books. And I was looking at the cover images and there was nothing that really grabbed my attention. So based on those two things, I think this is a book that could probably might be able to make a profit on Amazon. So those are the things that I think about before I dive in. Is the marketplace flooded? And what are they flooded with? Is there really good cover images that are already there? Or is it just a whole bunch of very generic and bland covers? Because people are going to be looking at the covers to grab their attention. So those are a few things that I look at. And you have a few options with how you want to edit this. A lot of it's going to be based on your technology skills. You've got the HTML, or the book is just online. You can download the EPUB with images. You can even do a plain text if you just want to start from the ground, and have to figure out your own fonts and sizes and spacing, just depending on what the HTML looks like. So this is the HTML book. It's got some images. And when I'm perusing, I'm just trying to figure out what am I going to need to edit out. I'm going to get rid of all of the images, so it's completely my own. And sometimes when you get rid of images, you'll have to replace. This is supposed to be an O, so you'll need to go back and put in an O there. So if you get rid of some images, you have to think about what that image is actually doing. And you'll need to also get rid of these little numbers on the sides. So do think about that. And if there's too much editing, you might just want to go with the plain text. So completely your option. How much editing is involved, versus is it easier just to start from a plain text file. So do keep all of those things in mind. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a Control A or a Command A if you're on a Mac. And then we're going to do a Control C or a Command C just to copy all of that. And then I'm going to go over to Word, and I'm just going to paste in everything. And the first thing that I always do before I even get into the nitty-gritty formatting part is just to get rid of everything that I do not need. So what I do, I'll just start highlighting everything that I think I'm gonna be getting rid of. And if you see any lines like this, do delete those out immediately, because those kind of lines are gonna go straight into the gutter for the margin for printing, and you're gonna run into issues when you're publishing on Amazon. So other than that, we're just gonna go through and just initially just delete any images that we see. And again, look for any of those lines that are gonna cause us trouble. And I think I will just delete all of this because we're gonna be adding in a whole bunch of contents, and we're going to be doing our own stuff there. So I'm going to leave this here for now because I'm going to have to go back and put in the O for that. That'll be kind of a reminder that I need to do that editing. So this is really just a quick run through, getting rid of images, getting rid of anything that you're going to have to replace anyway. And this isn't really the hard part. This is kind of the easy part of the formatting. And we can just delete everything at the end here. Project Gutenberg is always putting a whole lot of information at the end, you know, information about the copyright and its public domain, and you can just remove all of this from your book. So that is the really quick run through of the editing process. And again, we're just going to keep our eye out for any of these black lines that are going to cause trouble. And next, what I'm looking for is any part of the text that we're gonna have to just get rid of. Things that are extra things for maybe the book that we don't need. And we're gonna put in that O right there and delete that image. And I'm gonna do a find command and look for anything that that has those numbers in the brackets. So I'm just gonna delete all of those. And this is gonna be the tedious part. And not all books have this, but you just have to be really aware to look for it, because it's going to be really annoying for your readers if they have to look at a mysterious number and wonder why it's there and what you're trying to indicate. And I'm just gonna continue pulling these out. I'm not gonna make you guys sit through this while I just go and delete, because it is a little bit tedious. But as soon as I'm done, I will be back and then we will continue editing. Okay guys, I have just gotten rid of all of those numbers between all those horrible little brackets. That took me about 15 minutes or so. So sometimes you have to do a little bit of work, but you know, put on some music, put on a YouTube video, you know, and just do that mind-numbing work and just kind of get it done. That is my advice for that. And now we're getting into I think the funner aspect of the book editing process. So right now, we are going to actually set the page size. So right now it's 8.5 by 11 and it's 45 pages long. So this is going to be a paperback book, and I want it to be just small. I don't want it to be a huge book. So what I'm going to choose is the 6.5 no bleed option. And that's just a setting that I created because I use it so much. You can go through and actually choose all of the aspects that you want for your pages. That's something I would definitely suggest saving something that you use a lot. So we're going to say OK. And right now we're at 84 pages. And let's see, we're going to do some really basic editing here. Getting rid of any references to Project Gutenberg. And I'm going to get rid of all of this because we don't need it. It doesn't add anything to the book. So on this very first page, what I like to do is just to have the title and also the author. So those are things that I want on that very first page. And what I have done is I keep the settings so it always tells me where the lines are, where the line breaks are. And so you can easily toggle this button on or off depending on what you like to see. I think it just makes it easier for me to work while I'm editing, just to have all of those. So if something doesn't look right, I can easily figure out what it is. So let's get rid of that. And I want this. This is one of the stories in the book. There's a few stories, so this is the very first one. So we're going to put in a page break. And as soon as you see the page break, you can see that it notes it on the screen for you. So if you're wondering why did it kick over these letters over to the next page, this indication is really helpful in explaining what has happened. So at this part, I'm just doing some really basic formatting, and I'll probably end up changing some stuff. But this is my first run through. And as you do more, you'll kind of get a sense of how you like to do things. And I'm noticing that this title and author are all in that same line. So I'm just going to hit enter a couple of times. And we're going to just get rid of that extra text that doesn't need to be there. And it's completely up to you how much editing you want to do, how much effort you want to put into your book. I might be a little bit of a perfectionist, but you know, keep in mind that this is a book that's going out to the public. People are going to be looking at it, and people are going to be making comments on your book on Amazon. It's a very public way to put some of your work out there. So do keep all those things in mind. And this is the first book. So I'm going to be using heading number 1 there. And it's up to you how you want to format it. You know, if you want to center it, or if you want it, you know, to the side, completely up to you. I think for this one I want to center it. And I think I want all of these letters to be on the next page. And I'll put all this copyright information a little bit further down on the page so it doesn't draw so much attention to itself. And the page break is going to be really important. Just because it looks good on your Microsoft Word doesn't mean it's going to look exactly the same in the Amazon formatting when it gets uploaded. So having that page break is really an important thing to have, or else you might find that a few lines of this are up on the other page. So do keep that in mind. It needs to look good not only for you on your computer, but also after you get everything uploaded. So keep those things in mind. So this is the part where I'm just going through and looking for anything that needs to be on a next page, or anything that that needs to be in a heading 1 or heading 2. And I'm putting the Roman numerals as a heading 2. And I try not to touch most of the text. I want it to be exactly how it should be, how it's appeared in the past. And that's a choice that you can make. You know, you can choose to change things, to not change things. This is your book. This is the book, and you're gonna change it how you want it to. So you're going to be choosing formatting and font styles and font sizes, illustrations. So what you're doing is changing this book into actually something different. So it's up to you how much you want to stick with the original. And I'm just going to keep going and deleting any black lines that I see, inserting page breaks, and identifying heading 1 and heading 2. And as soon as I finish, I will be right back. So I've just completed all of the heading 1 and heading 2. And that didn't take quite so long. It might have taken 5, maybe 10 minutes at most. But while you're doing that, you're also selecting page breaks, and you're catching any of those black lines that you need to get rid of. So it's a bit of a process. Even though you think I'm just going to do this one thing, this one step, you're going to find other things that need to be formatted along the way. And I hope you're doing this because you enjoy editing and you enjoy formatting and you enjoy books, because this is the part that I really enjoy about this, you know, making these choices. You know, where does the next page begin? You know, what's the format I want to use? What's the font style? To me, that's the fun part of publishing on Amazon's KDP. So, with having said that, let's continue. So what we're missing right now are the page numbers. So let's see. And page numbers are another choice that you're going to make, how fancy you want it to be. What I like is just a small little number in the corner. Not something, you know, that's going to draw anybody's attention, just so every page has a number, except for the first page, because your first page is your title page, and there's no reason to put a 1 on that one, because it's not going to be reflected in the table of contents at all. So I just do it very simply. So you just have this little number. And now that we have page numbers, I'm going to add in the table of contents. So I'm going to do a page break. And now we're just going to add in the table of contents. And it always takes me a minute to remember where it's located. And again, you have all kinds of choices. I always just pick the top choice. And immediately this is going to really help with your formatting. It's gonna tell you how well you did on your formatting. I don't need the title or the author, so I know I can just put that in a normal font. And then we're just going to make some choices as to how big we want it. 22 font seems a little bit small. We're going to bounce it up to 36, and that's too big. So we go back to 28 and that looks good again. Now we're just going to take a quick look at the rest of this. The first story, The Flower Princess, looks really good. This looks a little bit out of step, so we'll have to take a look at that. But this story looks good, and so does the rest. So we're just going to click on this one and try to figure out why it's so funky. And honestly, I'm not really sure why that doesn't look quite right. So let's just try and update this. And it seems like it is the heading. This was on a heading 1 instead of a heading 2, which is why that did not look quite right. I just knew there was a simple answer to that. So we go back to the table of contents, and we're going to say update table, and we're going to update the entire table, and everything looks perfect again. So a little bit of futzing with the table of contents there. But this is the basic formatting of the text. So right now we've got a text. It looks like something that will be easy for us to upload. The page numbers are there. We've got a table of contents. We've got breaks for all the different pages. And right now we are ready to go, except for Amazon's rule that public domain books need to be either translated or annotated or have illustrations. So this concludes this video, and in the next video we will go through some of the options for inserting some illustrations, looking for photos, illustrations that are free to use, even creating your own illustrations. So stay tuned for the next video, and thank you so much for watching.